Well, good evening, everyone. Today we're going to talk about expected value, excuse me, and how to get expected value out of a distribution table, along with its variance and standard deviation. Now here is a distribution table which is equal to problem 5.3 in your textbooks. As you can see in this column, in the C column, I have all the probabilities of the random variable x that's in the B column. I've totaled them up for you already, and as you can see, they total to 1, which they have to for it to be a distribution table. Now in this column here, I'm going to take the product of x times the probability of x happening. I'm going to put all those products in here and then sum them up. Why am I doing that? Well, I'll show you why. If you take a look, you might remember I had this lecture on summation signs showing you, what it means to take a sum of I from 1 to 3, and of course this means 1, 2, 3, 6. This is the sum of the first squared, 3 squared numbers. This one here is the definition of expected value, where you take the product of each x times its probability, and then you sum up all those products from 1 to n for the whole table. And that would give you expected value. Variance is a much more complicated one. I'll get my pointer out here. Pen. Where we take the expected value that we already calculated, we subtract it from each x, square it, multiply it by the probability of x happening, and then we sum up all those products. And that's called the variance. This is quite different from the variance of a sample that we did last week. The standard deviation, as before, is the square root of the variance. Now I know that looks pretty intimidating. It's not, and let me show you why. Let's see if we can get out of this. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet. So let's make the product of column B, in this case B2 times C2. And that gave me the product of the 0 and the 0.32. Now I'm not going to repeat that for everything, because if you click and drag, and notice how I'm dragging, I'm grabbing that little black box in the lower right hand corner, that copies formulas. And now I got the product of all these pairs of numbers. I'm going to sum them up by copying over the sum that I had stored there. 1.27 is your expected value. So as you can see, doing it in Excel saves you a ton of work, particularly when you get to the variance part. Now we're going to try and calculate this thing. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put in 2 parentheses. I'm going to take the value in column B. I'm in the second row, so it's B2. I'm going to subtract off the expected value of 1.27. I'm going to square that mess, close another parenthesis, multiply that whole thing by the probability, which is in C2. And then we get that number. Again, I do not want to repeat this formula in for each of these different rows, so I'm just going to cheat and copy it down like so. I'll sum it up by pulling over the sum formula that's in the one next to it, and I get 1.677. This one is your expected value, this is your variance. And as I hope you'll guess, to get the standard deviation, go SQRT, and we'll take the square root of, what is that, E9? And that tells us that the standard deviation is 1.295. So there's your expected value, variance, and standard deviation. Okay? It can't make it any easier, that's all there is to it.